Hi there. I'm currently in a state of mental and spiritual conflict, battling my own duality, clashing against myself. Um, I listen to a podcast weekly called Lights Out Podcast, and I listened to today's show. Sorry. And I regret doing so. It was on a person named Adolfo Costanzo. And this was a person in Mexico in the 1980s that conducted satanic ritual sacrifices, the details of which I obviously will not get into. But the point of this video is I just wanted to clarify that it's been a frustrating headache of a journey since my near death experience because although it seemed to all make sense in that realm, that sort of knowledge dissipates once you're back here and you're here again for years on end. And you seem to be getting further and further away from that ingrained divine natural knowledge, even if your memory of the experience is completely like it happened yesterday, which it is. There are things that are withheld for whatever reason. And there are spiritual communities who say that do not judge, for in our eternal existence, we too were once the victim and we were also the perpetrator of the crime at some point. Well, sure, I suppose that makes sense. However, I don't want that to be me at any point in eternity, in this life or ever. I don't want to incarnate into a psychopath and conduct horrific acts of violence ever, forever and ever. So I'm not so sure about this argument anymore because evil is evil. And I've mentioned this many times. I don't believe in moral relativism. There are instances in which it does make sense, where different cultures and different peoples have different ways of going about things and different traditions as well, which is perfectly respectable. But I'll give you an example of what's not okay, no matter what culture you are. A perfect example: the Aztecs or the Mesoamerican civilizations of long ago sacrificed people to the assholes because they don't deserve to be called gods, whoever these pathetic vermin are, too cowardly to reveal themselves to the human race, just sit there and watch us suffer. There is no okay in sacrificing humans in any situation. Period. End of story. There is no debate. There is no argument. It's not okay. And it will never be okay. Okay. Yes, maybe we shouldn't judge, right? We shouldn't judge. But then again, if you just simply don't, you see something that's wrong and you don't say something about it, I mean, how do you, are you supposed to be just so neutral to the point where you don't have a heart, where you're like a robot or something? How does that work? How does that work when you see something that is out of the realm of goodness and that is evil and you just don't judge it? And I've often wondered if the despicable horror that happens in this realm, how the ultimate divinity, does the ultimate divinity not judge as well? Does it really not upset God in any way, the occurrences that take place here? And all of us, to a certain degree, are partially responsible because the realm is just designed that way, where everything has to feed on itself to survive. And we participate in the horror ourselves by eating animals who suffered in agony before we put them into our mouths. So I'm not implying I'm any better than anyone or anything. I just can't, no matter how many years go by, no matter how much I relive my experiences, whether it was the vivid dreams or the travels or the near death, I cannot comprehend the fact that there is no limitations of horror. There is no limitations here. There seems to be no oversight. Miracles are few and far between. 1 out of 1,000, maybe 1 out of 100,000. I don't know. It's not that many. The horror is allowed to persist for millennia after millennia. I often wonder where the angels are. Do you? I often wonder where the help is. That's why I said in that video I made, it feels like we're cut off from the link, even though we're not, but it certainly feels that way. I just, I need to stop listening to that stuff though. It's not good. It's not good for anybody. I try to focus on the positive, but it's so hard to focus on the positive when you have the horror and the disgusting, putrid monstrosities. Even if they're, and it doesn't matter one bit if they're 0.1% of the population. 0.1% of a poison will taint the 99.9% of good, if that even is the case, which it's not, because our societies are based on greed. There's a great song, Everything Counts in Large Amounts. I think it's by Depeche Mode, but I'm not sure. Well, listen to the lyrics of that song and you'll see what I mean, because that's all everything's about here in this place. And if the universe is just like this place, full of horror and endless nightmares, and I do believe there's a difference between genuine spiritual challenges and things like bravery and perseverance and total despicable nightmares like we see here. World War II was a despicable nightmare. Can you imagine being a civilian? Just imagine it. What they went through. It's a nightmare. It is something that traumatizes you to no end. And if I was, throughout my eternal existence, a perpetrator of this horror, I don't know. Sometimes I feel maybe it's better. I don't know how I would deal with that, guys. I don't want to be that ever. So the live stream was canceled, just to remind you again. It'll be tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific time on the Mighty Mackerel. Just put in Mighty Mackerel on YouTube if I don't share it. Just had to get this off my chest.